The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It's Friday, August 9th, 2024, Season 20, Episode number 15. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from Oxnard, California, and we're presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at lg.com/OLED Evo. How's everybody doing this morning?
Excellent.
It's nice and quiet and peaceful.
It's amazing how quiet it is here right now.
It's beautiful out
So
here.
let's make some noise. What
Let's
do you
make
say?
some noise. All right, let's talk a little bit of Cowboys football. We had a really fun practice yesterday.
Yeah.
You had the Rams here with the Cowboys, so anytime you get a chance to watch Cowboys players up against other players, you kind of get a sense for how they're doing, even though it may be very different than what you see when they're just going against each other every day. But after we finished practice, we're thinking, we got all this stuff to talk about, all this football to talk about, and then all hell breaks loose in Cowboys Nation. Basically, as a result of an interview. As a result
Par
of
for
an
the
interview
course here, right?
that Jerry did. And Nick, you were standing there for the interview. I just want to make sure we're clear on what exactly was saying, and then we'll talk a little bit about what it all means, because a lot of ramifications happen as a result of this interview. But tell us what happened, I guess, in the interview, what Jerry actually said regarding CeeDee Lamb and his contract.
Yeah, I have a breakdown up on DallasCowboys.com if you're more the reading person and the visual person, but I'll give you the exchange as it was given yesterday to between Jerry Jones and a couple of reporters as far as how he communicated his feelings on CeeDee Lamb. So, question from reporter 1. Week 3 of training camp is winding down. Can you envision September 8th coming and CeeDee Lamb not being ready to go? Jerry says, well, I don't know about that, but I know that we're getting great work done, making real progress, and I don't think we're losing a step where we are now. Another reporter comes in. Is there a sense of urgency, keyword, as you begin the preseason to get CD done? Jerry says no. Same reporter asks, why do you say that? And Jerry says, just long pause. I went to high school. I went to college. I don't know why I said it. I'm just saying, I don't know. And he starts laughing. I don't have a sense of urgency about getting it done. Pick any reason you want. I was at Nobu 2 days ago. Give that as a reason. Whatever you want, put it out there. And so just the quote of, I don't have any urgency to get it done, was posted to Twitter. CeeDee Lamb responds for the first time throughout this entire holdout. This is the first words we've heard him utter. And oddly enough, it was just 3 letters. It was just LOL with a period. And I feel like the period is even more telling than the LOL in some instances. But those 4 characters, man, they shook up the entire NFL world. You had Schefter retweeting it. You had Bleacher Report talking about it. You had us talking about it. There was a lot going on here yesterday. So much so that a couple of hours after this all went down, like you said, I forgot there was a joint practice that we had yesterday. So it's an interesting situation. Then Dak Prescott, he takes his weekly podium, and as he's getting off the stage, he says, I know y'all want to ask. I got urgency for it to happen. And so we kind of dive into that a little bit more, and he said that he needed to talk to CD a little bit more about the entire quote and how it was communicated from Jerry. But nevertheless, really just strange day yesterday when it came to the CD negotiations and how it all shook out.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, as we all know, we've worked in this business long enough. It doesn't take much. And we also know this, and this is one of the great things for us, and I'm talking about media, covering the Cowboys. Jerry can stir it up with the best of them, right? He can create some headlines. And so sometimes you look at these kind of situations and you wonder, is this Jerry kind of stirring it up? Was he kind of joking around? We remember when he did the Zeke before Zeke got paid, and then Zeke, had the T-shirt at the press conference, and so sometimes this kind of stuff can be taken a lot more seriously than maybe even Jerry thinks about it. But what were your thoughts as you guys kind of read what happened and it all started kind of blowing up? What were your thoughts, and how concerned are you that this could turn into a problem for the Cowboys?
Sure, I'll start. As it was happening, I was like, what? here comes the drama. We love some drama around here, but we started going through a bunch of speculations, and even Nick came up with the theory: what if the contract is actually done and they're just laughing at us?
Right,
It's a joke. It's an inside joke right now. So it's Can we talk about was the Twitter bio a thing or no?
Yeah, the Twitter bio is the thing. We don't know exactly when
When it
CeeDee
happened.
changed his
Yeah, I don't know
Twitter
when it
bio.
happened. Obviously,
But
people
I
are
guess
saying
it
that he
just-
took America's team off his bio, which
We don't know
again,
when
I don't know
exactly
when
it
that happened. yeah.
Okay, but it was, again, that was something that was brought up yesterday as
Yeah.
well. People saying, well, hold on, he took that off his Twitter bio.
Yeah.
And then you start creating all these stories in your head. Another thing that we heard yesterday is that his agent is in the Olympics right now, in Paris.
In the Olympics? Or just at the Olympics?
At the Olympics. Okay, Derek.
I'm messing.
Big handball guy.
But it just came about the whole thing of like, okay, well, he's on the outside right now.
Yeah.
CeeDee is not here, and when you start seeing things on social media, you start creating your own personal story, and you look at things differently. So I can imagine everything happening and him not getting in touch with Jerry afterwards, like on the phone, or Jerry reaching out after this whole thing started blowing up, because we've seen it. I mean, you're our boss. Of course, we're a lot closer than they are,
Yeah.
but it's the same thing of like, if something happens, you jump on the phone call and just clear the
Like, what's
air
going on?
and
Yeah.
make sure everything's cleared out. We know that Jerry and the Cowboys, they do want CeeDee Lamb. I can't imagine them going through a season, this season specifically, without a guy like CeeDee. Yes, the wide receivers have been looking really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean you don't need freaking CeeDee Lamb on the field. So, especially after everything that happened during the offseason and what you did not do as far as free agency signings and all of that, I think this is a situation that hopefully they clear the air, but I'm here for the drama, because let's keep it fun. No, I hate it, but let's just get it done.
Never a dull day around
Yeah.
here.
This is the great example of the Cowboys are going to do things different than other NFL teams when it comes to front office moves and the way that they're going to do their contracts. Yes, they operate in a way of the owner is the general manager, and that's fine. There's a lot of teams that have family members that run their teams. No problem with that at all. Jerry's going to hold the line on this one. I believe this is true. Now, they're looking at it probably in a way of how much resolve does CeeDee Lamb have? Is he willing to miss games? Is he willing to give up $1 million a week to miss games? Now, the flip side of that is, okay, I'll report, but got a little tight hamstring here. Got some things going on. Got, maybe there's some things that maybe you can worry about that way, but I really do believe that the Cowboys have resolve in this thing, and they're going to the way that they operate is clearly different than anybody else in the NFL, and they're going to see how far they can carry CeeDee Lamb in this negotiations before maybe, and the Cowboys have had a little bit of a history of giving in on some deals. We've seen it happen. I'm not making stuff up. We've seen it happen with Zeke out here. We've seen it happen with Zach Martin out here. So they have a little bit of a history of kind of saying, okay, we're going to do this way. But I think this is Jerry really drawing the line. I think I agree with you, Amber. I do believe they want CeeDee here, but they're going to try and get this thing on their terms, and they're going to see how far he's willing to take this. Can he take this to the point where he's giving up $1 million a week not to play football? That's pretty strong resolve right there.
Yeah, if my memory's right, and I'm over 50 now, so sometimes memory is not right.
Fish oil.
Fish oil,
Hey,
you're
that
right.
helps.
Fish oil, it works.
There's not enough of it in the world.
I think I recall that when this situation was going on with Zach Martin, Jerry also said something in the media, similar to the thing of when he shows up, he shows up.
Right.
We're almost like the same thing. Like, we're holding the line. We're not worried about this.
Right.
When he wants to show up, he'll show up. They end up paying him.
Right.
Then Zeke who?
Yeah.
And then they paid him. So I think part of this too. I agree with you. I think Jerry's holding the line.
Yeah.
But I also think part of this is gamesmanship, and I think that when it comes down to negotiating deals, I think the Cowboys negotiate the deal, and they negotiate hard. And by the way,
They do.
the players also negotiate
They do.
hard, and
They
their
do.
agents also negotiate hard, and that's why it ends up being this tension that, quite frankly, I think all of us, the media, fans, feel the tension far more than they do. I think they understand this is the business. We're doing the business. We're doing the dance of the business to figure out how do we position ourselves to get the best deal possible. And I think both sides are doing it. I don't think, personally, I don't think, and I haven't talked to CeeDee, but I don't think CeeDee is sitting at home stewing over this. I think it's gamesmanship from him as well.
Yeah.
I think he sees that and he's like, all right, LOL. All right, if I'm going to remove, if he took that off.
Period. The
Right.
period
The
is
period
a
is
big
everything.
deal.
Right, but that's the thing.
characters.
That's the thing. If he was sitting at home, it's like, okay, if you're going to play that game, I can play that game too. I don't think it's personal. I think it's just business. It's the negotiation. This is how it goes when you're negotiating a deal.
Yeah, and you bring up some excellent points about how some comments have been made before and then deals have gotten done. And so, but that's, like I say, Jerry is the general manager. And, if he believes that the Joneses negotiate tough.
Yeah.
They, not just in football and business,
No
they
doubt.
negotiate tough. And so, they have a way of doing things. It might not be on everybody else's plans, and, but the thing that kind of makes you feel about it is Jerry talked about the leaves, needs to see more of the leaves fall. Well, you do have that. You do have an idea of where some of these contracts are at. So you're thinking like, okay, well, he has the information that he needs. Where he sees his guy, does he see his guy in with the others? Does he see him with the Jeffersons and the Hills? And the, Hills was not anymore. It was just more money, more guarantee. But there's some creative ways that they can do this. I'm sure they're thinking about that. But I think this is about, I really do think it's about, how far are you willing to carry this? Because we'll carry it. There is, and I hate to say this though, is that there's job security there, and I mean that in a nice way. If you're a general manager and you're fighting it every day that like this could be my last year, you're going to do everything you can to make sure that you sign the guys and give yourself the best chance. Here they could be like, okay, this is how our setup is, and a lot of teams have this setup in that way. And so to me, I just see them kind of saying, okay, I see where you're at here, and maybe they're not willing to give in like they did on some of these other deals before. Maybe it's like, okay, we have to draw the line here now. We've kind of allowed some deals, the deals we were just talking about, to happen. And so now it's like, okay, let's see where we're at here with this particular deal.
I would still be surprised if we get to week 1 and CeeDee Lamb's not on the field.
I would too.
Yeah.
I would too, but I thought it was going to
But
be
let me-
10 days in.
But let me ask you this:
Fair,
when you
very
say
fair.
that, are you saying you'd be surprised if you get there and he's not there, or you'd be surprised if you get there and he doesn't have a deal? Because those are two different things. Like as Brian said, is
that's
he
fair.
willing to give up $1 million a week? That's a whole different thing than he has a deal.
His fifth-year option pays him about $17.5 million. And you think about that, is he willing to give up $1 million a week not to play football?
Right.
And that's a strong that you have to have some serious resolve
No
to
doubt.
be able to walk away from that.
Yeah.
And I this is just my thought. I think the Cowboys are betting that he doesn't. That my opinion. I think the Cowboys are looking at this saying he does not have it in him to walk away from $1 million a week. I think that's just how I look at it.
I think
For the record, I don't either, but go ahead.
I think he'll be there first week of the season, but just
With a new contract, as he just asked.
he'll be there in person. Let me just ask you guys this.
Nobody
If
wants to
you-
answer that question.
Yeah.
But see, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem now I have.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys are really going to play. They're going to play this all the way out and see if he's like, okay, I'll come in for. But say he has a contract, it could be below really what the top receivers. It could be, instead of $35 million, it could be a $30 million contract.
But I actually don't think the number is going to be the holder. I don't think that's what's holding this thing up. I actually believe this is about how you structure it. Because when you think about, that's where the problems lie for this team. Think about where Cowboys right now are having struggles. It's in the salary cap.
Yeah.
So they got to think about, it's not the total number. It's like, how do we divvy this up so that every year it's not going to put us over the salary cap when we're also trying to negotiate maybe a $60 million deal with the quarterback. Maybe who knows how much you're going to have to pay Micah if, when that time comes. We start looking at that. The Cowboys really have to think about like how much is being
they
got
to stagger these contracts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's more of the issue in my
I think
personal
that's a
opinion
big issue for
than
them.
just the number. I think the number has been laid out. You just look at all the other comps. You got the number.
To them, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
To the receiver, better than Jefferson. I'm better than Hill.
You think?
Well, no,
that's what. No. I'm asking though. Do you think?
I do.
Do you think he thinks he's better than Jefferson?
No. I'm saying he, as a player, looks at. He's the one guy that I would pay. And that's just me talking again. It's not Dallas guy. It's me talking.
Yeah.
I'd pay him because I think he's going to live up to his contract.
Agreed.
I would pay him.
Yeah.
Now he's probably looking at it as, wait a minute, Jefferson. Oh, okay, he's good. My numbers to Jefferson. My numbers to Hill. My numbers to Brown. My numbers to. He's looking at it that way.
And you think he thinks in that way? He thinks I should be the highest paid.
Yeah, the Cowboys have to think about the balance sheet. He's thinking about, no, when they call the roll, I'm right in the. I'm one of the top three.
Absolutely.
So that's where I think you got people trying to look at how to stagger contracts, and rightfully so. And you got a player saying, "Hey, this is BS. You don't want to pay me more than that guy. You don't want to." My numbers, you look at over the years, my numbers are just as comparable or better than a lot of these guys that are already getting paid.
Yeah.
I still think he comes under Jefferson to that note, though.
And
I think the year
smart.
the annual value comes under Jefferson. I think the
Guaranteed money, that's where it's
going to
be,
Where
the
Tyreek
guaranteed.
Hill is getting, it'll push to where AJ Brown is getting, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where the semantics of this and the nuance of this deal is probably being worked out, and also the length. If you're looking at it from CeeDee Lamb's perspective, you have a quarterback who's going into the final year of his deal. You have a lot of uncertainty around your coaching staff, around certain players on the defensive side. You have Zach Martin who's going into the final year of his deal. So if you want to create a little bit more certainty for yourself, get a shorter term deal. Get that 3-year deal. So that
Which
in
doesn't
3
help the
years,
Cowboys, by the way.
It does
No.
not help the Cowboys at all. So that's
why
from a
Dak's
CD
back to where he's
perspective.
at. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so from a CD perspective, that allows him to have some freedom down the line, whereas if the Cowboys get him to sign a 5-year deal, which is probably what the team would want, then that pushes him out even further. Let's say 3 years from now, he doesn't have that quarterback. He doesn't have that coaching staff. He doesn't have that offensive line in front of him. He's going to want out. And I think that would create a more toxic situation than what happened yesterday. So I think the dynamics of everything, it's everybody trying to predict the future, and nobody can really predict the future at the end of the day. I think Dak's deal is going to be a very big determining factor in all this. I think Dak's deal and those negotiations have to reach a certain threshold for this team to feel comfortable signing a CeeDee Lamb type deal, just because they need to understand the number that Dak is going to have at the end of the day, and they need to have an expectation of what Micah's number will look like next year. I think once they have a good feel about those two numbers, CD can get done. But I really do believe that this CD and Dak negotiation, that's not a coincidence.
Well,
it's
I
not
guess
a
we
coincidence.
haven't
They're
heard
all
any
working at the
new
same time.
update on the Dak contract.
Yeah, there was no update yesterday on
Yeah,
Dak.
so that's another thing that's lingering on there as well.
There's a lot.
You
There's
had
a
a
lot
question.
hanging out.
You had a question.
Yeah, but I want to do this. Let's take our break.
Okay.
When we come back, I
Oh,
want to
yeah.
take Amber's question.
I interrupted you, I'm sorry.
And then
Brian,
and then we'll take
pass
the
the
question,
baton.
and then we'll actually get to some practice notes, and we'll figure out what you guys saw out there on the practice field yesterday. We'll do it when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. There's no appointment needed and no waiting room. Yep, you heard that correctly. Take 5 is so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's fast, friendly, and simple service at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Life doesn't stop when the economy is uncertain. The market might not care you have a wedding to plan or a kid to put through school. And inflation doesn't know you've got a family to feed. But Bank of America does, and is here to help. With digital tools to help you save and local experts nearby, you can keep life moving forward the way you need it to. Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said the LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back to the break. We are presented by LG. This segment is brought to you by blockchain.com. Ding! All right, here we go. Amber, before the break, you had a question. What was the question?
I've been getting this question a lot on social media. Can the Cowboys play a game without CeeDee?
Game?
Obviously, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
But how well can they play, given the fact that we keep talking about how well the receivers have been doing at training camp? Everybody, and it'll be tough to make some cuts down the road here soon, but how confident or how comfortable would you guys feel with the Cowboys playing a game? If that was to be the scenario, for whatever the reason, can they play week 1? How well can they play without a CeeDee?
Yeah, it depends on the game, right? And we're looking at the game being the Cleveland Browns and the defense that they had last year. In Cleveland, you need a playmaker like CeeDee Lamb on the field. I think if it was a situation where, you're playing the Commanders week 1 and they're trying to figure out their new identity under Dan Quinn and things of that nature, maybe you have a little bit more freedom there. But I think with the instance of going to Cleveland, it being that afternoon game, that first Fox game of the season, and you're going into the dog pound, you need CeeDee Lamb in that building.
Quarterback's outstanding. He's practicing really well out here. I mean, he's going to have to carry you. There was a semblance of a running game yesterday. There were some holes. You haven't seen a lot of holes when it's been Cowboys versus Cowboys. There were holes when it was Cowboys versus Rams. How well can you run the football? Will you allow teams to completely take away Ferguson? Cooks had a good day yesterday. I would mention him as one of my top guys. Tolbert showing a little bit something more than what we kind of thought, or at least what I thought he was going to be. You don't want to play a game without Lamb, but to me, it's not as dire as I once thought it was coming in here, because I've seen a little bit of emergence of Tolbert, and the quarterback looks like he's picked up where he left off last year with some of his throws. So that would be, you're going to put it all on him, and he'll go as best as he can with it. So, but it'd be difficult, but it's and I'm not even going to say manageable. I'm going to say it probably won't look pretty, but you got to find a way to get it done if that was the case.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I actually was having this conversation with a couple media guys as we were standing watching practice a couple days ago, and I asked the question, do you think Dak, looking at him out here on the field this year, looking at the fact that last year he was second in voting in the NFL as far as league MVP, do you think he's at the point in his career where he could feasibly carry this offense without great talent around him, with just good talent around him.
It might,
and everybody to a man that was in that conversation said, I think he might be able to do it. I think maybe he's at that point where he could do that. And so, to your question, Amber,
which has always been a question.
That's always been a question,
him.
and quite frankly, he's never really been put in that position other than one time, and he wasn't ready at that point. But I think now, you look at how he's developed. You look at what he's doing out here just in training camp, and obviously that's not the game, so it's not equated in the same way. But it does give me reason to believe that if ever there was a chance for him to be able to take that next step as a quarterback where, again, when you're going to make $60 million, you're not going to have all the talent around you. Can you be the person that really makes it go? I actually want to see if he's ready to take that next leap. And I'll tell you this, that's a dangerous thing for CeeDee, because if CeeDee doesn't have a contract at that point and the Cowboys start watching, and let's say you get 2 or 3 games into the season and this offense is moving without CeeDee Lamb, now it begs the question, do the Cowboys need to pay? Do they need to really then be focused on paying Dak Prescott more so than they are focused on paying CeeDee Lamb? And I'm not saying any of this will happen. All I'm saying is those are the things that you'll be watching, and I'm sure CeeDee's camp will be watching as well if he decides to continue his holdout. Like, that can get really, really interesting for everybody.
You need CeeDee Lamb in January. That's where I think they can hold that leverage there, just because Dak could go out and have 450 yards passing in the first 3 weeks in each game. They're still going to need CeeDee Lamb whenever playoff time comes around. So I still feel like that leverage is on the table. He's still, at the end of the day, he is their best offensive playmaker. And whenever they do go to San Francisco, they need him. Whenever they do play against Detroit in the season, or whether that's in the playoffs too, they need him. And he was very crucial in that Detroit game last year. So I think they could still hold that leverage at the end of the day, regardless of how Dak performs to open the season. That's how I feel on it.
That was it?
That was the whole question?
That was the whole question.
It's actually a really great question.
Yeah.
All right, let's get some practice notes. Let's hear what happened on the field yesterday. It was actually a really good, I thought, a lot of good competition. I saw a lot of interesting things from the Cowboys. Let's go down the line. Let's start first on the offensive side of the ball. I want each of you guys to give me an observation that you saw from the Cowboys offense going up against the Rams defense. Let's start first with you, Brian.
Start with me, because I think he's going to say the same thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we were standing around the same spot, or we were watching the same stuff.
Go ahead. I'll back you up if you say it.
I'm going to talk about the O-line. Let's just hope and pray that everybody, all the starters, stay healthy.
I like what you're dodoing.
That they all stay healthy this
like
season, because the backups did not look good. They were on the ground quite a bit, and it's very different. And Brian, we were talking about the difference it makes when you go up, when you start practicing or playing against other people that is not the people that you've been practicing against this whole time. And we saw that. I mean, I didn't realize how bad they actually were until yesterday, as far as these backup guys.
The one-on-one stuff was
one-on-ones was hard. Like, I was just like, oh my god, oh my god, ow, that hurt me. I didn't. So that was just a completely eye-opening for me to see that, because I hadn't realized the lack of ability that was there up until they had to go against the Rams yesterday in that point. But another thing that I was going to say that's on the positive, and we already kind of mentioned it, was the running game. Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowell, I mean, they're starting to show up, and that's very, very exciting. And when you see the started O-line, the holes and the gaps that they're creating for them, and then their ability to break and run free has been really, really impressive.
Yeah.
Can I follow up with a question there? Do you feel whenever you say the backup offensive line had a weak day, are you looking more so at the tackles, or are you looking at the offensive line as a whole? Because I feel like TJ Bass and Cooper Beebe, they still had some good moments yesterday.
Good moments, but in the sense that it's similar to what we've been watching already. Mm-hmm. That's where the other players stood out most, that you think they're okay, and then they were absolutely terrible. Beebe, I think there's still room to grow for sure, a lot. He looked okay. It wasn't impressive. It wasn't like, oh my God, let's cry about this draft pick. But TJ Bass, on the other hand, he's a guy that even since last year, a lot of people have always talked very highly about him, and he's a guy that I think I still like. And what he's done. He's had his good moments, but again, not to the point where I'm like extremely impressed.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of both in what, because I was, when I was watching BB, I was like, okay, that's a good rep. Because and thank you guys for letting me be a part of Training Camp Live again.
Good.
And I was down with the offensive line and the backups and stuff, and I thought there was sometimes the tackles. I think Matt Waletzko had a rough day yesterday. I think that Steele at times had a rough day yesterday. Awesome Richards. I know the one video of him, with first going over the top of him was played, and that was a bad rep. What bothered me about the backups yesterday, but the ones like you mentioned, there was good reps with BB. I thought Ball held his own yesterday at guard, which, what bothered me yesterday about the group is I've seen him block against the Cowboys front in the one-on-ones and play with really good technique. Hands inside, sit down, kick, side, punch. Yesterday it was like going back to survival. Like, okay, you get beat badly on the first rep, and now you're going to try and short set a guy, and then you lunge, and then he swims around you, and now you're off balance, and it
snowballs almost.
There was times where you're like, man, they don't even look like they've practiced, but that's the thing that bothers you the most is when you've seen them have some success. It's the same thing like we was talking about with Mozzie Smith, and I don't mean to bring him into this, but I do. When you see positivity, and then you're like, whoa, what just happened? What? And it's like all these players, and I think this is what that practice did yesterday. It was, in a way, eye-opening that how could they look so good going against guys, and then they get in this, and then it turns into like chaos, with Ed. But that was something that was, again, eye-opening to me.
I will say for me, whenever the team drills were going on early in practice, the Cowboys, they were relying a lot on their run game. Like, they came out with a lot. They threw
that left side was good on the number one field that I was watching.
It was super awesome, and that left side was awesome. Richards and Tyler Smith, and so Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott, they both had big runs on the left side of that offensive line. It got to give credit.
Holes,
huge holes, and I have to give credit to Brock Hoffman as well. He was going back and forth with Kobe Turner.
He looks so good.
Kobe Turner's awesome. I mean, he's a great defensive tackle for them. I think they got a steal there. I think they ended up with him in the second or third round a year ago, and he's going to be their guy that kind of, not Aaron Donald replacement. You can't replace that guy. But he's going to be the guy that's in the interior that they're going to rely upon a little bit more. But him, Braden Fisk, they were rotating in, and Brock Hoffman was still able to have his battles with them. He took a punch, and he'd punch right back, and almost literally, too, because they were getting into it a little bit with some words. But I really loved what I saw in the running game, because that's the biggest question on this offense. Arguably, you could say it's the only question on this offense, depending on how you feel at left tackle and center. But they answered a lot of questions yesterday as far as, okay, Rico Dowdle can make a big play.
Yes.
Okay, Ezekiel Elliott can make a cut. So I think both of those things were really big to come away with as far as the offensive side of the ball.
When you mentioned the running game, and Adoga was in there until he had the spasms in his back, and then he was out of the lineup there. But there were a couple of times there where Hoffman and even BB playing center, they were so quick to get out. They were second level block, and they had that ability to get up in the second level. And they were so quick that they overshot and able to kind of adjust back and then kind of get their guys squared up. So, the running game aspect I thought was pretty solid yesterday.
And if I could defensively, man, Eric Kendricks had an awesome day.
Yeah, real quick, we're going to take our break.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll get to the defensive side of the ball, and I'll have each of you guys give us an observation you have from the defense. We'll do that in just a second. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I was looking at an email, but AT&T is the official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and AT&T keeps me connected here so I can reply to emails from work.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, we'll take that. Welcome back. It is the final segment.
Good save right here.
Right.
Right here.
There we go. Welcome back to the final segment of the break here from Oxnard, California. We have 1, 2, 3 more episodes here at camp. So this thing is rounding out. It's only 3 more because we're next Tuesday and Thursday, and then we're the following Tuesday, and then we'll be heading home on Thursday. So it's moving along here. We're actually past the halfway point of our time here in Oxnard.
Nobody's so happy than you, it seems like.
Say again?
Nobody's more happier than you about this, are you?
I want my life back. I want my life back.
This feels like
man.
college. That's what I tell people. It's back home. It's like, yeah, we all eat together. We sleep in dorms. We hang out and do work until like 11:30. Yes, work.
Yeah.
I almost said schoolwork, but I was like studying. That doesn't sound right. But yeah, it feels like college in a sense. It's interesting.
I love this.
Yeah,
it is great.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Too much.
The weather's awesome.
I
get a lot done. But like, I enjoy going home at night and seeing my family and you know all the things that comes with being at home. I'm ready to go.
It's
home.
all overrated.
I miss my pup. That's
I'm ready to get home. I'm ready to get home. But that's okay. We're working through this thing. We
Yes, we
got about a week
Talk
and a
about
half
some defense. What do you think about
left. So let's get some defense observations. What did you guys see from the Cowboys defense against the Rams offense yesterday?
Yeah, I jumped the gun, but here we go. Eric Kendricks, man, he looked fantastic yesterday. And if you're looking for, that on-field presence, that on-field leadership presence, he not only brought it from a schematic and knowledge standpoint, but from a play standpoint yesterday too. I mean, he was everywhere the ball was, and that's exactly what you want from your main linebacker going into the season. I think whenever you look at Kendricks, he needs to have that role where he is on top of the ball on any given play, especially in the run game. And that's where we saw him, whether it was Kyron Williams or Blake Corum getting handoffs from Matthew Stafford or Stetson Bennett or Jimmy Garoppolo. It was Eric Kendricks that was right there to be ready, and he just understands it. And that's the knowledge, that's the experience that he has in this league. And the knowledge and experience that he has in this defensive system. And I think that's going to radiate not only throughout the linebacking core as time goes on, but the entire team. You have a safety group that is really good at playing the run, and guys like Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker, in my eyes, Wanye Thomas as well. And so if you have a guy in front of them like Eric Kendricks that can play the run to his knowledge, to his experience, that makes their job so much easier on the back end. I think he's going to be – we're going to look up at Week 11, Week 12, and we're going to be like, man, we really underestimated that Eric Kendricks pickup back when it happened just because no one cared at that point. But I think that's probably been one one of the better pickups that the Cowboys have made in free agency over the last few years. That's not saying a whole lot, but it's saying a lot this time.
You know what's interesting about that is I think a lot of people, the fans will get to see this once they start playing games, but you can see the difference of how much a veteran, really good linebacker makes in the middle of your defense. Just being able to diagnose things, being able to get into the right spot. Like all the things that you saw last year in the run game that just kind of like, how is that? Like, how did that guy have that much room to be able to run? It matters when you have that linebacker there. And I was talking to Patrick Walker yesterday. We were off air, and we were talking about it. He was like, we haven't seen this since Sean Lee. We haven't seen that kind of linebacker play. And so I'm excited about what Eric Kendricks is going to bring to this defense.
I'm excited too. He's looking so good. And another guy that's looking really, really good, and I mentioned him last show. I don't want to mention him again, but hey, he keeps putting in the work and showing up, is rookie Kalen Carson.
Yep.
He's so freaking good. And it's impressive because when you see a rookie doing the things that he's doing, you can only imagine what the future holds for him and how quick he is. What's more impressive to me is his awareness of everything, where the ball is, and where everything that he's doing on the field has been extremely impressive. I'm super excited, and he's a guy that just I knew nothing about, and then all of a sudden now I want to keep knowing more because he's that good. So he's been very, very solid.
Yeah, I think that it's a really good observation for him. And with Nahshon Wright had a little trouble yesterday. The ball went to the corner on a fade, and you're like going, got to make that play. I think with Carson, there's a side of me that's kind of in that mode of just put him out there. Just put him out there. And, I understand what Nahshon Wright is. Just let me see what Carson is, taking every rep opposite Bland and playing in the nickel with Jordan Lewis. So let me see that. If he's going to get the opportunity to cover a lot of guys out here, and he has, and he showed up yesterday in a way too, as you mentioned, they try and swing the ball to him on the outside or towards him, steps up, makes the tackle. Next thing you know, he gets the interception. Those are
beautiful interceptions.
Yeah, and he just needs to keep playing. Just keep playing him. And then when they get Guyton back, just keep playing him and see what you have there. I will say this though, I really liked what I saw again from Jordan Lewis, and I covering Cooper Kupp is no fun.
Yeah,
I mean you want to deal with one of the best wide receivers in the game when it comes to playing multiple spots and having to deal with all that. Jordan Lewis did a nice job of chasing yesterday and being in position to make some plays there. A couple times Kupp caught the ball. He's going to do that to a lot of people. But you didn't see Jordan Lewis completely out of position dealing with that. And that's a real positive. He's had some really good practices out here. And so I think you also have to give, and people will say this too, I mentioned Mozzie Smith. The one-on-one stuff with Mozzie Smith was good yesterday.
Yes, it was.
And that's the thing that I think is the most frustrating to me is you see stuff like that, and you're like, come on, you could do this. You could do this. You could do this. And so hopefully they'll show him the film from last night. He can build on that a little bit, and we see a little bit more quickness and stuff off the ball. I think there's times where he kind of just he maybe gets a little tired, gets a little wore down, doesn't play with the same stance, doesn't look good, doesn't play as quick as he needs to be. Rodgers is kind of like the other. He's doing a good job of playing fast and trying to get up the field. But with Mozzie, like I say, you see it. You see it out there. And that's what kind of could be a little frustrating at times, that he could play like that. Just needs to be more consistent doing it.
To both of your points on Kalen Carson, you mentioned you want to see him if somebody goes down, and I'm right there with you. I
want to see him with the ones.
Yeah.
If they're not going to practice digs, but they're just kind of I would flip the reps. I would say, okay, Nahshon Wright, you're taking Carson's reps.
Yeah.
And Carson, you're now taking Nahshon Wright's reps.
And I'll take it a step further into the season. If there's an opportunity for a different corner to come onto the field, whether that's Diggs, Bland, or Jordan Lewis needing to come out, whether it be for injury or just rotational work, if Kalen Carson's not that first guy on the field, whether it's inside or outside, I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
He's CB4 on this roster, and I think they will come to that conclusion because, I mean, you call his name every single day, and it's you're right, Ambar. I mean, he does something every day that you look at and you're like, okay, that's a guy, and he's CB4 on this roster. And I think if he's the first guy that rotates in, then that's going to be an overwhelming positive to keep that defense flowing in case they need somebody to step up.
Can't throw it Overshown too. They tried to run the wheel with Williams, the really talented running back that they have with the Rams. They tried to throw him on a wheel, and Overshown from the inside was able to carry, and to the point where Stafford was going to throw it, and he pulled it back because he saw 13 in the picture and then had to go to another spot. So there's some good plays out here from Overshown. We always worry about, you talk about him. He's just such a complete player, and he's just trying to kind of work his way back in after this injury.
Positive sign for the Cowboys that these young guys are showing up.
A lot
in the
of
way
young
that they
guys,
are. And because that's what they're really going to need.
They're going to
these
need them
next
all.
couple of years.
I mean, they took a bet on relying on the younger talent, and we'll see.
Shout out to Will McClay and his staff.
Yeah.
They know they do a good job of bringing in great young talent. All right, real quick before we end the show, I got to say hello to my wife. She's listening, and she was like,
"Hello,
so
counselor."
Does that mean that you miss your wife? I was like, absolutely, I miss my wife. I'm ready for date nights to start back up. So I'll be home soon. So until then, we'll keep holding it down out here for Brian Broaddus, Amber Garcia, and Nick Harris. I'm Derek Hilton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!